Alright, hello and welcome to your first day of 2D game design. My name is John McNamara and I'll be with you all through this course. Alright, this is the textbook that we'll be covering this semester, Learning 2D Game Development with Unity. And one of the problems that we're going to deal with is, obviously, any book that you get with Unity is going to be behind, because if you start writing a book today on the current version of Unity, by the time you get that book written and get everything in there and then send it to the publisher and they edit it and then it gets printed out and then somebody picks it for a class and then the class actually starts, you're several versions behind on the new version of Unity. So this book I think was written for 4.3 or maybe 4.6, I'm not quite sure, but obviously now we're on version 5.1. So there are going to be some differences, and hopefully I'll be able to cover those with you. Alright, so moving on, my name is John McNamara. I consider myself a network engineer. That's kind of my big thing. I've got all the certs out there: A+, Net+, Security+, MCSE, MCSA, MCTS, MCITP. From Cisco, I'm a CCNA and a CCNP, and on the NA I have the voice and wireless as well. I'm a certified ethical hacker, and I have my MBA. Being in IT for, actually a couple decades, I've held various technical and administrative positions. I've been the network administrator at a hospital system. I've been the director of IT at a medical foundation. All right, if you need to email me, I'm at jmcnamara@starkstate.edu. And then you might be asking, well, why is this guy teaching game design? Well, to be honest, if any of the people that work at Valve or Blizzard or any of those other games obviously make way too much money to teach, so they're not going to come over to the college and teach. But in my case, 30 years ago, I was playing this game on my Commodore 64. So I'm a very long time gamer. You know, I know what it was like to put quarters in the Space Invaders machine when that came out. I know what it means to tilt a pinball machine. I know that you can take a nickel and smash it with a hammer into the size of a quarter and then drop it into a video game machine and it'll still work. Just my Steam account alone has 120 games, and that's actually growing exponentially now, especially during the Steam summer sales. And as far as the class goes, I would probably crush most of you in Call of Duty. Now, maybe not the newer ones, like I haven't played Black Ops 3 or Black Ops 2, but I think I stopped playing the Call of Duty style games at Battlefield 4. So once Battlefield 4 came out, I played a few times, and that was like my last game like that. Now, on the consoles, you guys all win. You know, I suck on a console. I'm like the kid that runs around, staring at the ceiling and can't figure out how to aim on the console. But you get me on a PC, and I'll stay right up there in the top 3 with you guys. Alright, so if we were in a face-to-face class, I would ask you, I would go through the attendance roster, and I would say, did I say your name correctly? Do you have a nickname you'd like me to use? What video games would you recommend to a friend? And then what are your goals? Why are you here? But obviously it's not face-to-face, so we're going to move on. So let's talk about the syllabus and then the Angel overview. Alright, if you go to the course's main page, it looks like this. Obviously, I'll be dressing that up eventually and putting some graphics in there so it looks a little bit better. And you open the class syllabus. You'll see the class, the number, my contact information, when I have office hours. This semester, it's Mondays and Fridays. I'm in the office 9 to noon. My email, and then the book that we need. Then optional, you don't necessarily need a memory stick, but this semester we're going to be working with Unity 5.1.1 F, and the classrooms do not have that version installed. We're working with the contract negotiation between the college and Unity is ongoing, so until that gets settled and then they buy the latest version, then you'll have access to the pro version. But at this point, we're going to be downloading the free version. If you were in face-to-face in the class, you'd have to use that all the time. So if not, if you're on like some kind of financial aid and you need like proof that you need something, at least it's there in the syllabus and you can go grab yourself one. Alright, so again, grading scale, we have pop quizzes, we have labs, we're going to have regular quizzes, then there's going to be exams. There's also a final project at the end that I'll have to add to this. Grading scale, 90 to 100 is an A. And then all the policies, attendance, blah, smoking bad, don't do it, kids are bad, don't do it. You get the idea. We don't really do missing assignments or missing class because this is going to be a web class. Remember, if you miss an assignment, you just take the 0. Last day to withdraw from the class is November 16th. So if you withdraw from now until November 16th, a W shows up on your report card. If you withdraw from the class on November 17th, it doesn't matter. Whatever grade you get in the class is what will show up. So if you're getting an F in the class, you need to drop by November 16th. All right, then there's a course outline. Normally this will be there in my syllabus, but I don't have this class finished. I think I'm only the first 8 weeks through. So I don't know exactly what we'll do, but we typically do a chapter a week. And obviously except for exam weeks. So really that's kind of how it'll go. So this week we'll do the intro, and the next week we'll start chapter 1. And usually at the end of each session I talk about what you need to do for the next week. So if you have any questions about any of that stuff, let me know. This is just a generic table that I kind of put in there just to fill the syllabus out. So in Angel, you'll click, and then week 1 obviously is August 24th through the 30th. Week 2, you'll hit week 1. Read some stuff, and then it always tells you, like on the very front page of each week, these are the assignments you have to do. You need to install Unity at home, and you need to do Lab 1. All your materials for the class are in the materials folder. All your assignments are in the assignment folder. So if I hit materials, you'll see there's slides, and there's also a Gamasutra salary survey that we'll be talking about today. All right, and then if I go back to the assignment folder, you'll see this week you have 1 lab, and then the Dropbox where you're going to submit that lab. Now, eventually you'll start seeing quizzes and project files and things like that in there, but obviously it's the first week, so we're going to go slow. So each week will be designed like that. You'll click on the week folder. Hey, what am I at? Okay, it's week 1. I'll click on it. I'll read the stuff. I'll see what assignments are due. I'll go through all the materials, and then I'll do the assignment. All right, so if you have any questions about the syllabus or Angel, make sure you email me. But let's talk about email. If you email me an Angel, I have Angel open every day because I'm always in a class, and usually I'm in 2 or 3 classes per day. And email in Angel is only restricted to Angel. So really, Angel is the best way to get a hold of me. So if you have Angel open and you're doing a quiz or you're watching a video and you see something you don't understand, drop me an email. Otherwise, my regular email is on the syllabus. You can email me anytime, but again, with my regular email, when I first get to the college, I check my regular email, and then I'm in classes, and then I go home. So there's more chance of me seeing it in Angel than there is in the regular stuff if you wanted me to see it right away. All right, game industry. So what kinds of jobs are out there in the game industry? So take a minute. I'm going to pause, or you can pause the video, and ask yourself, what kind of jobs are out there? All right, we got Q&A, and typically that's where people start with bigger game companies. They start in the Q&A department, and they're bug testers. And most people think that, oh, I get to play games all day. That's not what a Q&A guy does. Q&A guys will typically either have to do something over and over and over again repetitively, trying to break something, or they're reading tickets and they're trying to duplicate what somebody else did to get stuck to then write it out and say, hey, this is where it happened. All right, obviously art, so much art assets in video games. 3D animation, not only do I have to create the art asset, what's the player going to look like, then I got to make the player move. Now, typically, that's done by the same person, but in a lot of games, it's not. All right, programming, I can write the code. I can do audio. Remember, every game has music to help with the emotional feel. We have sound effects. And then the design. What kind of game am I going to have? What's going to be the challenge? What's going to be the reward? So what's going to be the risks? What's the final goal? All right, and then what do they pay? So go to Angel and open up that Gamasutra salary survey that we just talked about that's in the week 1 folder, and let's talk about that for a second. All right, so in Angel, click on the salary survey, open that bad puppy up. Now, this is still the latest one I found. I just downloaded this today, and today is August 22nd. And they still have the 2014, which covers the year 2013, so hopefully they'll be doing the 2015 one very soon and put that on their stuff. But you can see it. Now, remember, now these are the average salaries for people in the industry. And you got to figure the bigger companies are probably responding to these surveys a lot more than some of the smaller companies. So you have to take these numbers with a grain of salt. But hey, 90,000 to be an engineer, artist and animator 74, game designer 73, producers 85. Audio people, 95,000. Now we're talking about Q&A is, again, the starting ladder, 54. But what's interesting here, moving on, what's that? You kind of see like how places are doing by the regions. We're right there in that corner, so we're the same. Oh no, we are the lowest. Hooray! But we're close to the east, which is the second highest, so it all depends on where you go. But what's interesting here is the indie report, because they talk about a bunch of different stuff, and then by job functions, kind of how it breaks down. And what's neat here is they talk about solo indie game developers, where their income is actually coming down and only averages $11,000 or actually almost $12,000. But they're also saying that people who are part of a team earn even more than the indie. So if I make a game by myself, I'm liable to probably make $12,000 on my first attempt, or my average. But if I work with somebody else, then my earning averages goes up to $50,000. So that's actually really good. So this is the page. If you get a chance, read this whole thing. It's filled with a lot of neat indie information. And really, where we're located at, there's no huge big game companies. There's Blue Frog that's up in Akron. And then as far as I know, that's really the only kind of the bigger, and when I say bigger, I'm talking, there's like, they probably have 5 or 6 people. I'm not quite sure about that though. But every place else is just a couple dudes working in their basement, you know, on their spare time kind of thing. So honestly, if money is what you're looking for, and that's kind of what your goal is, you probably need to find somebody to team up with to work on things. Plus, when you think about how much stuff goes into a video game, I got to do art assets, I got to do animation, I have to do level design, I have to do audio, I have to do the UI, I have to do AI pathfinding, I have to make title sequences. You know, it's huge. It's really hard for one person to do it all and do it well. So chances are you'll be able to find somebody that you can pair up with and kind of split duties, so both of you can kind of split it up, and then it's a lot easier. But you get the idea. So if you do nothing else, make sure you at least read that page, the indie report. All right, now game design is like a driver's ed class. You know, when you went to driver's ed, you learned the basics about how to drive a car. Hey, here's the rules for the road. Hey, here's the rules for the city. Hey, here's how to park. But when you were done with driver's ed class, you weren't ready to go, you know, be Mario Andretti and go in the Indy 500, or to just leave that day and go take your driver's test. You had to practice more. And that's exactly what you're going to have to do here. We're going to walk you through how to make a 2D game. It's going to be a 2D platformer, kind of like Mario, the original Mario Brothers. And once you're done with that, it's going to be up to you to practice those skills. You're going to have to, you know, work on making some characters, do some level design and that kind of stuff in order to get better. So don't look at it as, oh, I get to make a crappy 2D platformer like Mario Brothers that I can't sell. You need to look at it as, I'm learning the skills to make my own game. If I show you how to make a character move, then you know how to make your character move in your game. And it can be any game that you want. If I show you how to make different levels with all these different art assets, you'll know how to make your own levels. So you get the idea. All right, so in the class projects, you're going to have several assigned out through the class. The first two are going to be, you're going to have to make your own sprite character, and you're going to make a 2D map in a program called Tiled. And then the big project that you're going to submit at for your final is going to be the 2D game that we all build individually, that we follow along through the book. So what typically happens as we get going, once I show you how to do something, then you'll get an individual project. Hey, I showed you how to make a character move in our project game. Now go make a character move in some other project that you create. You know, create a ground, create some kind of background around it, and make a character move. That kind of stuff. All right, game development. You know, why is this the time to get into game development? A lot of people are like, you know, there's no big studios hiring around here. The chance of me making a great big indie game and having it be a success are slim and none. Why would I want to get into game design? But the truth is, this is probably the greatest and easiest time to get into game development ever. It's easier to sell games. You know, getting on Steam is crazy easy. There are a lot of crappy games on Steam. So even if you make a crappy game, you can go back and work on it again. Or, you know, do a second attempt or a third attempt. There are a lot of games that are put on Steam, they're greenlit, they're sold, and then the developer realizes, hey, I can't finish this game because I lack the expertise, or this game, the engine I picked is wrong, so now I need to make another game. Kinetic Void is one of those where you can make spaceships and kind of do some stuff, but they've kind of abandoned development on that, and now they've moved to another game. But I can sell games on Steam, Xbox Live, or the Apple Store. You know, for Apple, I got to pay 99 bucks, and for a year, I'm now in their developer program, and I can submit any application I want to the Apple Store. Think about how many different people you can reach by putting a game on Steam, Xbox, and the Apple Store. And again, there's no qualifications. You don't have to take any tests or do that stuff. All you have to do is pay them a little bit of money, and boom, you're there. All right, it's easier to get funding. You know, most indie games are made kind of on the side while somebody works another job. You know, there's a couple guys in the indie team. They're all working full-time regular jobs somewhere else, you know, selling burgers or whatever else they're doing. And then they're all getting together at night and they're working on their game. But now we're seeing a different trend where people are proposing their projects on Kickstarter, Pledgy, PayPal, well, not necessarily PayPal, Hustle, some other things, and they're actually getting funded so they don't have to work full-time jobs. They can actually develop their indie games full-time. And honestly, you don't even have to produce that great of a product. If you look at a game, oh crap, what was it? Give me a second to think about the name. Greedmonger, that was the game. Greedmonger had a Kickstarter. They raised almost $100,000. And it was put on by this guy, Jason Appleton, who was a former mixed martial arts fighter or something like that. And it was just terrible. The game never came out. He ended up having issues with his developer. They fought. Then he ended up giving the rights to the developer, so the developer kind of took all the responsibility on himself, and then he just kind of like folded and just said, I can't do it. We're going to go do something else. And again, no legal action against them. They can do whatever they want, because Kickstarter is a donation thing. But then we got PayPal, where we can donate to games or do different stuff. Lots of different scenarios out there, but now is probably the best time to get into it. All right, so most of us have an idea for the next killer video game. So think for a minute. Pause the video and ask yourself, what is your idea? If you had all the resources you wanted, what kind of game would you make? Would it be a single player? Would it be an MMO? What kind of action would be in your game? Alright, and then here's where I have to break it to you. Every idea that you've ever had about this next killer game, some other developer has had that idea. And the issue is they have to pitch these big ideas, you know, to publishers. And if the publisher doesn't think the game's going to make them money, they'll say no. If they don't have the skill or the technology to make a game of that depth, they can't do it. So everybody has an idea, and most ideas have already been brought up in other meetings by other development houses. It's just that there was some other idea they thought was better, or they didn't think that your idea was going to work because of something else. So just because you have an idea doesn't mean you're going to be the greatest game developer. You know, everybody has ideas. It's execution and being able to stay the course and finish your game that makes you a game developer. So that's the difference between a real game developer and an armchair game developer. Everybody has ideas, but the developer can actually see it through. All right, so the two big game engines that are out there for indie guys are Unity and Unreal. And with Unity, some of the games that have come out from that are Kerbal Space Program, the new Crowfall, City Skylines, and then Crossy Road. Now, Crossy Road, you probably haven't heard of that. It's more of a web game, or I'm sorry, a mobile game that kids play on their phone. And really, it's Frogger. That's all it is. It's Frogger. It's non-stop Frogger. There's no end of the level. You can kind of keep going. And every time you do a hop, it adds a point. So you're trying to see, you know, what's your highest score. But the beauty of it is, they gave the game out for free. And as kids are playing it, every couple of minutes, a little pop-up comes up, and the game stops, and it says, hey, do you want to watch a video in order to earn a coin? And if they hit yes, they get a coin, and they have to watch like a 1-minute advertisement. And they're making a boatload. Like last I saw, they made over $3 million from the ads that they were pushing out. And then the coin that the kids get, they can use in the game to buy different characters for a Frogger. So, crazy simple idea. I mean, to make Frogger on a mobile phone is relatively easy. But incorporating the ads into that to get the kids to want to click on the ads, just brilliant. All right, then there's Unreal, and Unreal, most people think of Unreal as the 3D engine and Unity as the 2D engine. But nowadays, Unity graphics can be pretty good. But let's go back into Unreal. Unreal, we typically feel it does have the best graphics. And games like Grav, Valkyrie. If you've ever seen some footage of Valkyrie, wow, just tremendous looking game. Fable Legends, and then the upcoming Fortnite. Oh, can't wait for Fortnite. Fortnite's kind of basically it's start time. You and your friends build like a little base, and then you hit go, and then all the zombies and like skeleton dudes and monsters and stuff start attacking you, and you have to defend your base, through wave after wave. But anyway, so Unreal nowadays is free. They just announced it at the beginning of 2005, I think it was. So it's now free. But then if you use it for a commercial product and you start selling it, your game, you have to pay them like $3,000. Unity, you can use the free version, but then there's a pro version that you can buy. And with Unreal, there's as well. Now, so we picked Unity to use, and there's a few reasons why. One, there are way more tutorials available on Unity than there are with Unreal, because until January of this year, you had to buy Unreal. So if you even were going to be an indie developer, I think it was still like $100 a year to buy Unreal, so you could like just learn how to play with Unreal. So that's why there's a lot more stuff with Unity. Unity's been out for years. It's been free for years. A lot more tutorials out there available on there. A lot more books available on Unity. And if you go to the asset stores, the Unity Asset Store or the Unreal Asset Store, the Unity Asset Store, way cheaper prices, at least it seems to me that way. And there's a lot more free assets in Unity than there are in the Unreal Store. So cheaper assets, a lot more free assets, you get the idea. And then really, the idea behind this course is not necessarily just to learn Unity. It's because if you learn Unity, it's a lot easier to go over to Unreal and make stuff because you understand how a collider works. You understand when you make a character, in order to make him bump into a wall, you have got to put a collider around him. You understand mesh, and so you understand everything. It's just, now I got to figure out how to do it in this software. So it's just like if you know Windows 7, learning Windows 8 isn't that hard. If you know Microsoft Office, OpenOffice isn't that hard to pick up. So we're not going to focus on Unity itself and how to do everything in Unity. It's more, this is what these things do so that you can use it in Unity, or you can go to Unreal or any other engine, and you know what you need to do. So hopefully that makes sense. All right, so let's go to the Unity website. Just type in Unity, and let's go to the website. And here's a quick picture of what Fortnite's going to look like. All right, so open a browser, and just type in Unity. And you want to go to unity3d.com. So a lot of neat stuff on Unity's page. We'll hit Get Unity 5. And you can see they have a personal edition that's free, and then they have a professional edition. So this is the one that we're trying to negotiate with between the college and Unity itself. And we'll get into that. But if I go to the Asset Store, there's all kinds of cool assets I can add to my game. So if I go to Complete Projects and Tutorials, there's a car tutorial that's free. There's a character customization that's free. So there's a lot of these free things that are in Unity. And then the other stuff, $15, $10, the assets are relatively cheaper. If you jump over to Unreal, they seem to be more expensive. But that's just maybe that's just me. I don't know. But you can also go to Learn, and then there's tutorials, tons of documentation. So you can pick anything. Hey, I'm having a problem with the physics. So I can see the overview of the physics. I'm having a problem with 2D physics. What is rigid body? And it'll show me all the stuff. So all that information is here on their website. You can even download the manual if you wanted to. Lots of different tutorials. I think eventually in this class we're going to pick up this survival shooter and walk through that and make you guys kind of like do that one at home. This one's actually a really cool one where you make this little game where you've got kind of like one level and all the kids' teddy bears all kind of like come after him. So you just download the assets. and then you can go here, and there's 10 different phases that they have set up, and each one I think is less than an hour. I think the whole thing totals about 10 hours. But I click, and then I can actually walk through, and they show me everything in the video.
Implementing animated
so that's
characters,
what the game's gonna look like.
AI.
I turn that sound off. So that's what the game looks like when you're done. So it's a 2D kind of. Actually, that's more of a 3D. But it's a neat one to kind of help you get your footing in Unity, which is what we're going to do in our stuff anyway. But it'd be nice to come out of this with a couple complete projects that you've kind of followed through on the tutorials. Now, what's neat is, if you go back to their other tutorial page, they have a stealth game. Yeah, this one. And what's neat is somebody must have seen this, because this is the older. It runs in version 4 point something, so you have to have the older version of Unity, which you can easily get. But let me show you what this one kind of looks like real quick. So the idea is to walk around and be stealthy and not be seen. So again, that's the tutorial. Now let me show you something interesting. So obviously you're hiding behind robots and stuff as you're going through. So now let me jump over to Steam. And if I open Steam and look for a game called Volume, here it is it's on sale for $17, but normally sells for $19.99. And blah blah, come on, load. Too much. Again, you've got almost the exact same stealth game.
This is the right solution.
Somebody just changed the graphics, and now they're selling it for $20 a pop on Steam. So you can actually do a couple of these tutorials and then make a game based on the tutorial and sell it on Steam. And maybe that'll be enough money to get you funded where you could take a year off and design, a little bit bigger game, and then you kind of like make some money off of that, and you kind of steamroll it. But you get the idea. So Unity website has a bunch of stuff: tutorials, documentation, live training videos, tons of resources. There's obviously premium support if you pay for the stuff. And then you can kind of see with the graphics, it's not as bad as it used to be, especially with version 5. You know, it's always been Unreal. It always has had way better graphics, but Unity is definitely catching up. So part of your homework for this first week is to check out the Unity store. Make sure you grab Unity for home, because obviously you need to install it. And if you hit older versions of Unity, don't grab the latest and greatest. You want 5.1.1. 5.1.1 is going to be the video that's going to match what I'm doing in class. And that way we're all on the same sheet of music. If you get 5.1.2, there may be a few subtle differences and your project may not work, or you may have to struggle a little bit. It's better if we're all on the same version. So 5.1.1 is the one you want, the 18th of June version that was released. All right, so moving on. Your assignments for this week are to install Unity at home, get that ready, check out the Unity website, and then submit Lab 1 in the Dropbox. Lab 1 just talks about, hey, what kind of game are you thinking about making, when you leave this class, or what game would you like to make in a perfect world, that kind of stuff. And just submit it, and then you're all set. Now, normally in the face-to-face version of this class, on day 2, we watch a movie called Indie Game. It's a documentary movie. But because this is going to be a web class, we're not going to watch it obviously in class. If you have Netflix, it's on Netflix for free. If you don't have Netflix, you can always grab, just download the Amazon application and see if you can actually rent it for like $2.99 on Amazon. But it is a great movie for indie game developers to really show you how much effort goes into some of these games. I'm going to play like the trailer for the indie game movie, kind of to maybe get you excited about it, so that hopefully some of you will check it out.